we see our superior vena cava coming off the top. That's this big structure. Don't worry about this little flap. You may have seen this little guy in some of them. Don't worry about that. We're not looking at him. So we keep following up. The superior vena cava will fork off and form two branches. Each one of those branches is called the brachiocephalic vein. All right, again, brachiocephalic meaning going to the arm and to the head. So that's going to form a right and a left, and then each one of those is going to branch again into a jugular, which is draining blood from the head, and then subclavian, which is draining blood from the arm. Okay? And you see the same thing on both sides. You see a jugular on this side too, and a subclavian on this side too. Alright? And then coming back down, the last thing we see is we'll see the azygous vein will branch off of the superior vena cava and run down the right side. So I can get all this out of the way. You will see a vein that runs along the spinal cord, the vertebral column back there. Hopefully all y'all can see that. Can everyone see that?
Okay.
So it runs along the spinal cord back here, and it's what drains the blood from the intercostals. Okay, so the intercostal arteries bring the blood to the intercostals. The azygous drains it. All right, going back to the heart. So if this is superior vena cava coming off the top, then this guy coming off the bottom must be our inferior vena cava. So what happens here is this inferior vena cava actually punches through the diaphragm right here, and right after it does that, it goes into the liver, which would be the hepatic vein, which we crossed off. So you don't need to be able to identify it in the cat, but you need to know the concept that the hepatic vein drains blood from the liver, right? So if you hear the word hepatic, you're going to associate that with liver, okay? So eventually the inferior vena cava will come out the underside over here of the liver and keep traveling down. This inferior vena cava is going to branch off again into renal veins, the exact same thing as the arteries. They're just veins. You'll see them on either side. So the arteries are bringing blood to the kidneys, the renal veins are draining it from the kidneys. All right. We keep traveling down, 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 and then in the leg we see the exact same thing. The inferior vena cava splits. I'm trying to get this out of the way so you can see it. I don't know if you can kind of see that. It'll split, fork off just like the arteries did, and right when it splits off, it forms two iliac veins, and they'll come down here into the leg and form two femoral veins on either side. All right, and you just got to associate that with right and left. And that's about it. So one thing I was telling somebody, or the group in the back, is anytime you're looking at this, because for the practical, I'm going to want you to identify right subclavian or left subclavian. It's always going to be from the cat's perspective, right? Because if I'm looking at it like this is my left, so I'm thinking left subclavian. But if you're the cat, this is going to be the cat's right arm, right? So this would be right subclavian. So it's always going to be from the cat's perspective, okay? So don't get that mixed up, because I always have people that get that mixed up and they'll put left and instead of right, and they'll have to take points off, and then nobody's happy. So keep that in mind when you're checking stuff out.